Chimera Shadow Garden. Chimera Shadow Garden is Megumi Fushiguro's domain expansion. When this domain is activated, it floods the area with pitch-black shadows, creating a territory where Megumi controls his 10 Shadows technique completely. The domain lets him summon multiple Shikigami at once and change their forms, like stretching his divine dog's limbs or combining them for stronger attacks. He can also dive into the shadows and pop up anywhere in the darkness, making him hard to catch while turning the battlefield into his personal ambush zone. Unlimited Void. Unlimited Void is Satoru Gojo's domain expansion. This domain traps targets inside his limitless curse technique's core state, flooding them with infinite information that overwhelms their senses completely. Victims experience everything at once, every sight, sound, and feeling hitting them simultaneously until their brain shuts down and leaves them frozen in place while Gojo moves freely to finish them off. The domain's true terror lies in its precision, allowing Gojo to choose exactly who gets caught in the effect while keeping his allies completely safe. For example, when Gojo used the domain against Jogo while excluding Yuji Itadori, keeping Yuji unaffected. Malevolent Shrine. Malevolent Shrine is Ryomen Sukuna's domain expansion. Unlike normal domains that create sealed barriers, this one uses an open method that builds a massive shrine-like structure covering up to 200 meters with guaranteed hits on everything inside. Sukuna's cursed energy slashes tear through the entire area using two techniques that work together. Dismantle cuts through anything with standard power, while Cleave adapts its strength based on each target's toughness and cursed energy level. The open design lets it hit countless enemies across huge distances simultaneously, creating a nearly inescapable zone of pure destruction that shows exactly why Sukuna earned his title as the King of Curses. Coffin of the Iron Mountain. Coffin of the Iron Mountain is Jogo's domain expansion, the volcano-themed curse's ultimate technique. When activated, it creates a vast volcanic landscape that traps opponents in a scorching, molten environment where Jogo's fire-based attacks like Maximum Meteor hit with complete accuracy through volcanic eruptions, lava blasts, and crushing heat. The extreme temperatures incinerate most enemies instantly, while the burning terrain makes movement nearly impossible for anyone without fire resistance. Self-embodiment of perfection. Self-embodiment of perfection is Mahito's domain expansion. It creates a twisted, flesh-like space where his idle transfiguration technique hits with complete certainty, meaning any touch instantly reshapes the opponent's soul and can mutilate, disfigure, or kill them in seconds. The disturbing environment reflects Mahito's twisted view that true beauty comes from distorting the human form, transforming him from someone who controls his own body into a sculptor of others' souls with unlimited power to reshape them however he wants. Smallox Deities. Smallox Deities' domain expansion traps opponents inside a tomb-like environment that mimics the actual smallpox virus through curse technique. It summons a massive gravestone that slams down and buries the target alive, starting a 3-second countdown where victims must escape or face infection by the curse that rots them from the inside out, like a rapid, lethal version of smallpox. This domain combines crushing physical force with supernatural disease. Deadly Sentencing. Deadly Sentencing is Hiromi Higuruma's domain expansion. When activated, it creates a courtroom where opponents are automatically put on trial for real past crimes, with Higuruma as judge and his Shikigami judgment overseeing the case while forcing them to defend themselves or face punishment. Even minor offenses like riding the train without a ticket can result in having their cursed technique stripped away, leaving them completely vulnerable, while serious crimes may grant Higuruma an executioner's sword that kills with a single strike. This domain stands apart from pure combat techniques by using law and justice as weapons. Time Cell Moon Palace. Time Cell Moon Palace is the domain expansion used by Naoya Zenin after transforming into a cursed spirit. It creates a space where his motion-based curse technique, similar to projection sorcery, automatically enforces a strict 24 frames per second movement rule that freezes any target for 1 second if they fail to move correctly through his dictated frames. This body lock leaves opponents completely vulnerable to Naoya's devastating high-speed attacks, trapping enemies in a world where the tiniest movement error becomes fatal through his overwhelming control of speed, precision, and time. Horizon of the Captivating Skanda. Horizon of the Captivating Skanda is Dagon's domain expansion. This domain opens up a vast oceanic environment complete with aquatic life that gives Dagon full territorial control while unleashing his most powerful attack, Death Swarm, which sends thousands of relentless fish-shaped Shikigami racing through the water at high speed from every direction. The ocean setting slows enemy movement for anyone not adapted to underwater combat, while these cursed creatures attack in overwhelming numbers that make blocking or dodging nearly impossible. Idle Death Gamble. Idle Death Gamble is Kinji Hikari's domain expansion. When activated, it triggers a cursed technique loop tied to a pachinko machine that spins for jackpots, and hitting one puts Hikari in a state where he automatically uses reverse curse technique for 4 minutes and 11 seconds while becoming virtually immortal through instant healing from any fatal injury. When the timer ends, he can immediately spin again to create an endless loop of near invincibility, that guarantees survival instead of guaranteed hits like other domains, turning every fight into an endurance battle where Hikari simply outlasts his enemies. Authentic Mutual Love. Authentic Mutual Love is the domain expansion of Yuta Okatsu, one of the most powerful sorcerers in modern Jujutsu Kaisen. When activated, it creates a space where Yuta gains unrestricted access to any copied cursed technique he possesses without the normal one-time limitation, letting him cycle through multiple abilities in rapid succession with guaranteed hit effects that make him nearly unstoppable and completely unpredictable. With Rika as his external cursed energy reservoir and partner, Yuta can amplify his output even further to overwhelm opponents with barrages of high-level techniques ranging from close combat to ranged attacks to healing, all at full power within a domain. Yuji Domain. Yuji Itadori's domain expansion appears as a deserted train station tied to his memories. The domain doesn't have a name yet, but it grants him guaranteed hits with Dismantle, a technique inherited from Sukuna, while stripping away all complex mechanics or summoned entities to focus purely on amplified hand-to-hand combat, where his punches become unavoidable and his raw strength reaches its absolute limit through a domain that reflects his growth by turning his emotions and resolve into a deadly battlefield. Threefold Affliction. Threefold Affliction is Yorozu's domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen. When activated, it guarantees hits from any construct she creates using her curse technique, allowing her to form her ultimate weapon, a perfect sphere with infinite pressure that becomes extraordinarily deadly due to having no identifiable surface for force to act upon. During her fight with Sukuna, the domain ensures her technique will land, though Sukuna ultimately counters by activating his own domain and using Mahoruga to adapt to her attack. Womb Profusion. Womb Profusion is the domain expansion of Kenjaku, one of the main antagonists in Jujutsu Kaisen. When activated, it creates a guaranteed hit environment that maximizes his cursed spirit manipulation technique, allowing him to unleash overwhelming numbers of high-grade cursed spirits simultaneously, with each one targeting opponents with perfect accuracy. During his battle against Yuki Tsukumo, Kenjaku uses the domain to flood the area with barrages of cursed spirits that force her into a defensive position and eventually overwhelm her completely.